It's Sophie here from Year 13 and welcome back to the Expo. I have Lauren here from National Disability Services or NDS. It's great to have you here today, Lauren.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Lauren, why is she here? She's going to give us a picture about the types of roles available in the disability sector in Australia and the career opportunities for students. So, perhaps we could start off, Lauren, with what interested you entering the disability sector?
Well, actually, it was a particular role that was going. My background is with apprentices and trainees. So I spent 15 years working as an apprenticeship field officer, for lack of better terms. I was known as the apprenticeship lady, like this. And but there was a role that was going to work on a project here in South Australia to promote traineeships within the sector. So it was really of interest to me. So that's how I actually came in, was a particular job itself.
No, empowering students to become either trainees or apprentices. Perhaps I'll focus in on you in a moment. At the moment, what subjects at school help prepare you for where you are today? Can you draw upon any subjects or learnings you use in real life?
Well, what I actually found was all my history from school, all my history from work ended up being useful. So I never regretted any studies I did. I've done a bachelor degree, I've done an honours degree, I've done a Cert 4, I've done all that sort of theory side of things, but the practical side of work that I've done as well was never a waste of time. First job, checkout chick, loved it.
Ah,
Like this. I like people, I loved dealing with people. So I think this the sector it depends on what sort of role you want to go to, and I'm happy to chat about that. I'm sure we'll chat about that more. But if you want to go into the health side of things, then you're going to go biology and things like that. But what about if you're an IT person? Well, we need IT as well. So so it can depend on the type of roles you want to go into. But if you're someone who's particularly interested in working with people, likes people, then you're going to find that any sort of science subjects, particularly for health, is useful. Then you've got mathematical subjects if you're interested in the technical side of things. This is an industry where I don't mind where you want to work. There's a job. There's a job that's available. Finance, HR, it's all there. So I'm sorry that that's not a specific helpful answer because it does depend.
no, I think what I'm hearing is find your passion, and there
Yeah.
is a role, specifically in the disability sector, for many different career
Oh, yeah.
paths.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, maybe that takes us to our next question. And this could have many answers, it sounds like. What does a day in the life of someone in the disability industry look like? Sorry, a day in the life of someone who's working in the disability industry.
Well, for example, I think that the most role that people would know would be a role called a disability support worker. So a support worker is somebody who is quite often considering really the face of the sector. These are the ones who are working one-on-one with people, sometimes in small groups, and so this could look quite different. And this is the bit that it's really interesting with the sector, is because if you want to be a support worker, for example, you could do anything from working in the community. So taking someone to the movies, playing with Lego, what some of the hobbies that you're passionate about is the hobbies that other people are passionate about, and will link you together. What about if somebody is got a situation where they can do most things in their life, but they just need someone to help them out at home? So they might just need some cleaning, they might just need some company. What about if someone just goes somewhere for a day service? Well, then that's, just kind of like school, where you would go to a place and work for a day. So that could be, learning skills, teaching maths and English and basic things, or it could be just teaching how to tie your shoes. It could be, as simple as that, depending on age bracket and capacity. But then there's also, accommodation. People need to live. They need someone. They might be living in a home where there's a couple of them, and then they might have you there to support them, whatever that day looks like. But it is a sector very much where I'm actually part time. I'm not full time, but it's a 24/7 sector. So if you'd prefer to work, night shift, you're a bit of a night owl. There's work there for you. So it's very much a sector where that front-facing stuff, if you like people, you like having an impact, this is the sector for you. It's one of the nicest jobs I've ever had. I know that sounds interesting, but the people in this sector are just wonderful to work with.
Yeah, no, that brings me to my next question, and I think finding a job where you find your home, where you find your purpose, sounds like there's a clear mission there. You come to work every day with a purpose. So perhaps what is the most rewarding part about the industry that you find in your job, or speaking
Yeah.
for a carer or another individual? What do you think is the key rewarding factor there?
Well, I'm always someone when I was looking for, when I was looking for a job and I ended up applying for a job with National Disability Services, I didn't write down the job specifically I wanted. The very first thing I wrote down was, well, I have to have a job that when I walk away, someone is better off. Meaning, I know that sounds kind of arrogant, it is, but
Lovely.
I like people, and I know not everyone's as enthusiastic as I am, and don't worry, I'm not like this all the time. That's a bit much. But I knew that about myself. I knew that I wanted to do something where I was around people. I had an impact that was positive. And this is a sector where um, you're working with ones who are just like, have the same passion. These are individuals, and I'm talking about clients, people living with disability. These are ones who want to give life a shot. They don't want to just get up, have a shower, and then go to bed again at the end of the day. Come on, we're humans. We're not boring. They want to do stuff. And I think it's really good if you think about all the things you do during your day. That's the same. And so sometimes we just need, people living with disability just need that extra hand to do it, which means they don't want you to do it for them. They want you to show them how to do it so they can figure out how to do it, just like someone showed you how to do it. They want to build their skill, they want to challenge themselves, they want to go dancing, they want to go bowling, well, but they want to do things like that. And I think I know for me, even my perception of that was challenged coming across to NDS. Just what did I think about when I saw someone living with a disability? So it was really good. It's been really healthy and helpful for me to actually come and work here because I get to see all these ones just doing the same thing as us. And I know that sounds like I'm trying to segment and separate, but it's good to realize the way we think and get a bit challenged on that. So I'm sorry if I've gone off topic. What was your question again?
So it sounds like if you are a people person, if you want to make a positive impact in someone's life, this is the sector for you. So actually, that leads me to, what do you think are the personal attributes we're looking for in students who are wanting to enter the sector? I think that you have
Well,
mentioned.
yeah, absolutely. I think values are really important, particularly. So, by values, these could be anything from empathy, so the ability to appreciate what someone's going through, um, through to, it's good to be caring. I think that's always helpful, particularly if you're particularly if you're in a role where you're impacting other people. Um, and so I think somebody who is got the capacity to get alongside, you know, encouraging. That's a good one. But that's all the front facing roles. So don't forget, we need finance, we need IT, we need HR, we need people who are organizers, we need people who are, administratively skilled too. Because if without people who have got that business head, we can't do what, people who are people persons can't do those roles without ones who have got those other capacities like that too. So, but it's a value industry. It's a very much a value industry. Yeah.
That's perfect. I mean, value driven, and you can either, whatever your skill set is, it's about
Mm.
saying, I want to enter this caring, value driven industry, and there is a role for you, sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask a question off the back of that, as someone who is a little bit empathetic myself, how do you prevent yourself from getting fatigued from caring? Is there tips or tricks?
Yeah, absolutely. There's what you'll find is as part of your training in the sector is a thing called professional boundaries, like that, because I think a lot of ones go, oh, I can be a friend and I can be this and I can be that. You can be friendly, but you'll find that that person has hired you to do a job like that. It means that client, which we might, or customer, or that individual living with a disability, they're the boss. They're your boss,
Yeah.
which means that makes it a bit more helpful to sort of keep, you get along with your boss, you have a good time when you're at work, but you are at work, you know. And so it's good in that way, because that actually kind of leads on, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, but that's some of the changes that has happened with NDIS that has come in, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Why don't we raise that now? So, I mean, you flagged to me before, people often get mixed up between the NDS, where you
Hmm.
work, and the NDIS. Can you
Yeah.
explain for our audience what is the difference and what does this mean? What do these acronyms mean, really?
Yeah, no, I had to learn so many acronyms when I came here.
You
So
do.
National Disability Services is the peak body. Now, another way of saying that is it's like a gym membership. Okay,
Mhm.
our members are actually people who are companies who have services to the sector. That means that if I'm an individual living with a disability, then I can approach one of these service providers and say, I want you to take me out here. I want you to clean my home, or I need to come to you because you're going to do my physio, or I want to come to you because you're going to do my IT, things like that. So that's what we are, a membership company. And so the NDIS is the National Disability Insurance Scheme. So a really short way of saying this is that individual gets the opportunity to have a set of funds and to use those funds to give themselves opportunity, and they get to use how they like it. So it might be for that person really practical. I need some physio, I need some occupational therapy, I might see some speech therapy, and all these things help me live.
Yeah.
However, I also want to learn how to bike ride. I also want to learn how to abseil, because I want to become a professional rock climber. You know what I mean? Like, and I need to build my fitness and my skill level to do that. So NDIS, you get a plan and a set of funds, and that allows you to, as I said, go beyond just waking up and eating and functioning during the day. It gives you actually ability to an opportunity to choose your career, what your life, what you want your life to be, and that's the heart of the whole program. And that's a real big shift from how it was in the past. It comes with its ups and downs. It's not a perfect system. We are still learning a lot about this. So it's important to realize that. Um, but the heart of it is really to get that individual and say, what does your life want to look like? Let's make it happen.
Understood. Thanks for clarifying. I think that's a little bit confusing if you're not in the industry itself and
Yeah.
how it operates. So that really is helpful. So essentially, looking for a job within an NDS provider where you're servicing individuals who have access to a pool of money from the NDIS.
That's it. That's it. So basically,
Oh, sorry.
sorry. No. So basically, there there are companies that offer lots and lots of services, and you'll find that most of them will be a member of National Disability Services, and hopefully more and more come on because we're wonderful. But what also there's companies that perhaps aren't a member of us, so that individual has that choice on who they want to choose. However, those who are NDS members obviously have access to a lot of information, a lot of current information, and we do a lot of advocacy, meaning we go in and fight, and say, hey, this is not right, we need
Yeah.
to fix. So that's a lot of some of the real simple ways of saying what we do at NDS. But NDIS, yes, is the whole big picture. Everybody is under that.
Understood. Thank you for clarifying. I think sometimes when you're outside the industry, it's hard to understand. So that's really helpful. I think I'd love to. We were speaking before about why the industry is so rewarding for you and some personal attributes students could have. Um, I didn't touch upon what some of the challenges um, of the role of the industry. What are some of the challenges you've overcome that have ultimately been really rewarding?
Yeah, absolutely. this is a sector where you've got, as I said, a lot of people living with disability, which means that comes with some challenges. So that could be physical. It could be someone who acquired it, had an accident and acquired something. So their life has had to change, and that's really challenging. You have ones who have been born with their situation, which means, with that, they've grown up and they might be used to it, but there still comes with challenges. So you'll find that it could be physical, it could be mental. There's a few different ones. With that, it's going to be a bit of a challenge sometimes, and it could be seeing somebody with no capacity to either communicate and wanting to communicate with that person. Um, the classic example, I believe it was on Britain's Got Talent. There was a young girl who was told her younger brother could never speak or never talk, and she taught him sign language, and he can say the odd few words. And that's exactly the bit that we love about this, because, for example, if you're a speech therapist and you're sitting with an individual whose capacity to speak is very limited, but over time you've worked with them and they can actually start to pronounce, and they can pronounce their mother's name, or they can, these are small wins, but they are huge in context of somebody who had no ability before. I'm going to get you to delete that. No capacity. They're very huge for someone who had no capacity before to do that, but they've built the ability, because people are able to do things. And that's, for me, one of the most bits that I love the best, because this is a sector full of small wins. Sometimes you get some really big wins, that person walks, but the truth is, this is a sector where, every day you get to see a little bit of change, and every day you get to see, and it might be, sometimes it's over 2 weeks, and sometimes over 6 months, and sometimes it is even longer, but for me, that's the most satisfying thing, is knowing you're part of something that's going to improve that person's life, because you are happy to walk along the road with them. The hard work is probably going to be done by them, but you're that person who's going to walk alongside them and say, hey, I found out this tool here, or I was part of a company that designed bikes that allows you now to get out there on the road. And, it took us 6 years to design this, but we got there. So that's, for me, it's good to be conscious that there are challenges, because it challenges the way we think about a lot of things. And that can be a little intimidating sometimes. But the truth is, if you look beyond a situation to that individual and see that individual, you're going to love this sector.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Small wins and walking alongside the client or the customer. I think that's my key takeaway from what you just said. I think that's really beautiful. And who doesn't want a rewarding job like that? I think you've just spoken about some of the challenges and how that's rewarding. Do you personally have a greatest achievement of your time in the sector?
Oh gosh. Well, my role is actually working in projects. So that means that we have, all right, to be honest, it's like an assignment at high school. So probably the one I'm probably most proud of is actually, this is going to sound a bit up myself, but I was sitting down with a colleague of mine who'd been blind since birth, and I just said to him, listen, mate, what was it like for you trying to get a job, and what was it like for you, trying to do this or that? And he was just sharing that, oh, he goes, tell you now, Lauren, like, I'm a smart cookie. And trust me, he's way smarter than me. And he goes, but the second I'd apply and they find out that I was blind, all of a sudden they think I can't do the job, And it's just like, what? Why would you automatically think, just because I've, born blind, that, I have no capacity or ability to do the job? And I was really interested in that. I said, so what happened when people actually met with you? Like, what happened when you had the interview? And he said, yeah, that was totally different. And I'm like, okay, so we need to find something that breaks the barrier a bit. So that's one of the projects we're working on, is a video resume. So it's actually a website with tools, workbooks and everything like this, to give an individual the ability to actually step through all the things you need to do to create a 1 to 2 minute video resume to try and get yourself that interview. because, as we say, that interview is the bit that's, once you get your foot in the door, it's a lot different. So
Yeah.
that's something I'm quite probably proud of, because for me, I know that it's going to have an impact. It's going to be helpful for any person, either living with a disability or not. But the focus, obviously, is for someone who's never done it before. Now, I've never done it before, so I had to learn all the bits and all the steps and make it nice and vibrant and fun. And I'm going to have little example videos on there. It's not ready quite yet, but hopefully by mid 2020 it will be ready to roll. And we just call it V Resume, because I couldn't be bothered saying the whole thing over and over the title. It's a very long title.
Wow. Lauren, it sounds like you're really going to change the lives of many people who perhaps can't apply for jobs in a traditional way. So that's awesome. That is such a great achievement. Please keep us posted here.
What to?
I feel like the
Well,
whole resume industry could be revamped. So, it could be just a starting point.
Well, there's a lot of companies who actually, some companies are expecting videos now because they want to meet you. Particularly if you want to go work in, Hamilton Island and things like that, they do want a little video or something like that. But I think it's really great that, it just changes the way you meet an employer or you introduce yourself to an employer, because, it's a lot more vibrant, and it's a lot more, it's you, as opposed to a piece of paper that talks about you. So I think it will help, to change a bit of the employers' ways of looking at how to recruit. And speaking to a few recruiters, they're just like, oh, that would save me so much time.
Look, I'm really excited to watch this and see this go. Very cool. Um, moving on now, just to kind of wrap up. What are three top careers at the moment in the disability sector that our students and audience can look out for? And how do they go about getting into the sector?
Yep, absolutely. So, as we said earlier, one of the best roles I think you'll find, not only as a starting point, but a way to really see what the industry is like, is a disability support worker. Now, for anybody who's interested, particularly in the health sector, so nursing, going to physio, IT, psychology, psychiatry, branching into occupational therapy, this is a brilliant way of having a part-time role while you're studying, because this actually gives you an idea of how to interact with ones, how to work with ones, how to work alongside somebody towards a goal. Because everybody has goals. So one job would be a disability support worker. Just to give you context, when NDIS came in South Australia alone, there was it created about 6,000 full-time jobs in support work, and across a few other industries that or into jobs. So there's a lot of work out there to be found, and it's very, very, it's a rewarding role. So that would be absolutely one that I would look at, and then I personally have a look at some of the emerging fields like music therapy, drama and art therapy. They are actually some really good emerging industries linked in with our sector. I would also, associated with that would be engineering and the technology, because that to me would be another sector, another type of role that would be IT. Is, obviously we think IT support, but the truth is anybody who has any difficulty in their speech often use what we call alternative communications. Another word is augmentative, but that's a very big word. But basically, it's like having a little computer. To quote another, one of those Got Talent shows, there's a gentleman called the Lost Voice Guy, brilliant, hilarious comedian who uses a machine to help him talk like that and communicate. Well, we need development in those things. Social media, tech, things like that. That's actually a huge emerging industry. So most companies and most of our members will have a social media content and social media manager and digital media manager. So there's a lot of really good emerging industries, as well as our our traditional ones don't look traditional anymore anyway.
Yeah.
So it's
Interesting. And so it sounds like there's two pathways. You can get into the sector immediately from an entry level perspective, or you could either go down the route of studying at TAFE, a vet course, or going to university. There's so many ways to enter the industry, it sounds like. How would you
yeah.
um, recommend a student finds where they enter the industry? Is it finding your passion first and perhaps knowing that you want to enter the industry and there will be availability for you? Probably a big question if you have any advice.
No, 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 no. That's a fair enough question. I would, if you are someone who knows a little bit, you've got a little bit of direction. I often find when it comes to talking with students and young adults who are looking at what's next, the answer isn't I need this career. What they're looking for, what I always encourage one is, look, what's next? And half the time it's what you don't want to do. So out of everything I said just then, you might hear me say, IT or admin or things like that and go, that's not for me. That is a win because you have all this in front of you and we need to narrow it down.
Yeah.
But narrowing it down doesn't always mean looking for the only one yes that's in the room. Sometimes it's actually looking for what's you're not interested in. And I find that can be a little less stressful too. I don't want to be a hairdresser and I don't want to be an automotive mechanic. However, I don't mind some of the engineering stuff. That kind of interesting. Okay, there's a start. So, out of everything I've said, today, and thank you so much everyone for listening, I would actually say have a think about, what's triggered with you, what's resonated with you, what's gone. No, that sounds interesting, and that might be a disability support worker. And I definitely recommend that is a wonderful way of starting. If you just look up the word support worker and do a Google search on any of the jobs out there, you will find one in your local area. And regionally, absolutely, you will find ones out there because disability is not limited to region. It is absolutely across the country. So yeah, it's a real simple Google search for it on a job site would be a very simple way of starting. But yeah, do keep in mind that you might be that accountant. We need you.
Well, Lauren, that is absolutely fantastic advice. I think really helping narrow down what do I do next. And I think you've just summarized a really pervasive industry that is actually probably touching upon many of our lives and many of our friends and family lives without us even realizing, to be honest. So,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for telling your story and the story and insights of the sector. And thanks again to the NDS for providing this opportunity for you to speak today.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, and all the best.